everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Michigan Prep Frenzy podcast. I'm Brayden at MI Game Day.
And I'm Tyler at Michigan Prep Frenzy.
We're going to jump right into it today with recap of our ranked matchups, starting with our game of the week. That was number 9 Davison at number 6 Grand Blanc. Grand Blanc winning this one at 57-29, and frankly, that score is a lot closer than the game felt for most of the time.
Yeah, this one got out of hand early. And there was a lot of emotion to it. Obviously, these are rivals. I kind of made the point that I don't know if you simulated this, 100 times. I don't know that it always ends like this. But Grand Blanc came out motivated, just came out firing right away. Got the 2 quick scores, and it was kind of like, oh boy, they're they're starting to get out of hand, and they just never looked back. They were impressive the whole time. So Davison fought back. Obviously, they've got good players. That's still a really good team. But Grand Blanc made their case to be a top 5 team in the state.
They did, and they certainly looked every bit as good as any other team we've seen floating around the top 5. I gotta say, I agree with you. Davison came out and just felt like they were pressing a little too hard in the first half. And we saw in the second half that they still got outscored 22-19 in the second half, but their offense certainly seemed to find more of a rhythm. And specifically, Dosh looked a lot more comfortable and a lot less like he was trying to force things as he did in the first half. I don't know if Davison wins the majority of these games, but like you said, if you play it 100 times, Davison's going to steal a few. Maybe Grand Blanc wins 60, 70 of them. They're a really good team. They have an argument right now to be one of the top teams in the state. Their offense is an absolute machine behind Jake Morrow. He showed both his arm strength, just throwing absolute bombs. He was putting up, I believe you said he had over 400 yards passing. And
six total touchdowns as well.
6 total touchdowns, and doing so with, honestly, not a lot of volume, just throwing deep passes and really just giving his receivers the ball in space and letting them get that yards after catch.
Yeah, there was a couple times where, Davison kind of had him dead, and they just kind of, couldn't close the deal, and he escaped. He was able to get through there and just find his receivers downfield. Even if it was short dump offs, it seemed like they were still taking him to the house.
Yep, they really just felt like an offense that knew exactly what they were doing. We only saw them punt once in the first half on a pooch kick from Morrow, which happened to get downed right at the 3-yard line, and made it seem like, he was going to be able to do just about anything that day. He was clearly having a great game and did so just highlighting his exceptional skill talent along the way.
Yeah, no, this is back-to-back league championships for Grand Blanc, which is really impressive. 3rd one since joining the SVL back in 2018. So this is, just becoming a trend that they have joined the SVL and made their home there nicely.
Yep. All right, we can move on to our next ranked matchup. That would be number 2 Cass Tech versus number 14 MLK. This is a rematch from a few weeks back, and Cass Tech came away with the win here looking a lot more convincing.
Yeah, this one I was kind of expecting this score maybe in the first one. I thought Cass Tech, I think they're just a better all-around team. And King, they're still really talented and still probably the favorites in their division. But yeah, it's tough going against a team twice like that and doing this. So that is impressive by Cass Tech. And King now has to turn around from playing Cass Tech, a top 2 team, to playing the other top 2 team in Detroit Catholic Central next Saturday.
Yeah, tough ask for them to go up against these 2 teams at the top of not just our rankings, but at the top of D1. You're coming in there from Division 3. But
Yeah.
if any team in D3 can do it, it's MLK. They've got the talent to play with anybody. But yeah, just a great win for Castech. Good job coming out here and not only winning, but doing so even more convincingly and actually winning this all in one day, not, having any fights in the stands leading us to second day stretch.
Yeah. No, that is a positive. Hate that has to be, a note, but it is noteworthy. A lot of these games are broken up into segments. So, yeah, nice to get it all in at once. And yeah, it's really interesting now to see kind of Cast Tech. Obviously, your numbers are starting to like them.
Mhm.
And it's interesting to see that all the voters are in agreement pretty much at this point.
Yeah, my numbers had them down closer to 20 last week, and with this most recent win, they got catapulted up to the number 8 spot in my ratings. Their offense uh, hanging in pretty well, and their defense taking a pretty big lead.
Yeah, no, they've looked really good defensively. Obviously, not the stiffest competition week in and week out, but they've done well against King both times. That's a team that can score.
Mhm.
So I mean, they have done well. They played well against Granville when they were healthy earlier in the year. So they've had some good tests, but yeah, not running the gauntlet week in and week out has kind of messed with the metrics a little bit.
Yeah, it certainly hasn't made it easy for the numbers to keep up with, a high level team that just seems to win every game by 50 plus points.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, moving on, we got number 11, East Kentwood, taking on number 43, Granville. East Kentwood pulling this one out 35-20 in what is a really good rebound win for them following their letdown game against Hudsonville last week.
Yeah, yeah, no, they had to still be, kind of licking their wounds from that one. Just losing in that way sucks. But it's good to turn around and get a good win. Granville is still, they're solid, well coached. They're as hungry as any team right now with the way that they've been playing. They want to win bad. So yeah, still not the ideal situation for Granville. Um, but yeah, that's a good win for East Kentwood in a spot that they could have been, much worse.
Yeah, definitely could have been worse. Uh, Granville is here. They're still fighting, not just going to roll over after, a pretty disappointing season so far. But, putting up 20 points on this East Kentwood team and holding East Kentwood, one of the most electric offenses in the state, to only 35 is also not a small feat.
Yeah, no, you'll take that absolutely. Granville should still make the playoffs. They should be fine, but they're definitely in a much worse situation, sitting 27th right now. Um, I believe they play Hudsonville next week, so not the ideal spot, not the place you want to be. But yeah, I think Granville's done a decent job of kind of getting through this tough stretch. Hopefully they can maybe get healthy, or at least like we said in past episodes, just kind of find their way, get the next man up mentality, and just start to stack some wins maybe here in the postseason.
I'm not sure if you looked at Snooze's simulations or anything over the last few days. I'm kind of curious who we would see Granville matching up with in round one because, boy, if they keep slipping, it's probably not going to be fun. And I'm actually kind of curious if we might see them play Hudsonville in back to back weeks.
I think that was what I had last seen. So, yeah, that would not be a that would not be a fun week one matchup. Um, and I just pulled it up, and well, right now it's got them against Rockford, but obviously things can change this week. But either way, Rockford or Hudsonville, either one of those, not fun. So, yeah, they've got some work to do here over the next couple weeks. Um, but like I said, they're well coached. It should be, a fun challenge for them at least.
Definitely. Up next, we have our biggest upset of the week. That was number 49, Brother Rice, taking down number 4, Orchard Lake St. Mary, 43-31.
Yeah, I went back and watched this game because I was just so curious on how it all transpired. Um, Looked like Brother Rice just was clicking offensively. This was kind of their, I would say this is their best, all around product on the field so far this season. We've talked about it quite a bit that they've got a really young core. Obviously, you're starting to see kind of the fruits of their labor over the last couple of years, kind of being down, but it seems like they're starting to find their stride a little bit. So this is one of those wins that a Brother Rice team can kind of rally around now.
Yeah, this is very much, in my opinion, just a proof of concept for them. They came
Yep.
out here, beat one of the top teams in the state, a team that is still looking like the team to beat in D2, and they did so with some explosive use of their young talent, and
Yep.
just kind of showed that if they keep this trajectory, they're going to be a very difficult team to take down in the next couple of years.
Yeah, no doubt. I guess I'm not 100% sure if they have, a real shot at making it into the postseason here. They play Sterling Heights Stevenson. Probably kind of a do or die game for them. I would guess they probably still need some help. Um, I think right now they're the very last team in D2. So it would be interesting to see if, another team maybe can jump them or something. Um, but for them to even be in this position is kind of, like you said, a proof of concept that this young core can get it done.
Yeah, especially that young running back that we were watching today. Looks like he was going to be a real problem for defenses in the years to come.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of kids that are 2027, 2028, 2029. Like this, a lot of this team returns next year um, and gets another year bigger, faster, stronger. I can only imagine that they're going to be even better next year.
Moving on to our last ranked matchup of the week. That was number 24 Brighton taking on number 25 Howell. Howell snagging the win here, 38-27.
Yeah, this is another one that I went back and checked out just because I wanted to see um, Howell's offense, and it looks, you know, as stout as ever. Obviously, running that T primarily, they've got such size. Like one of their running backs is like 6'4", like huge, big dude. They've got, I believe, an Air Force commit playing tight end. Like this team is legitimately huge. They're a problem up front. And I don't know how many teams are going to be able to line up and handle that for 4 quarters. I know they've been beaten and stuff like that, but they're going to present a matchup nightmare for a lot of teams here in the pro season.
Yeah, not a team I would want to face. We saw it last year when they played Belleville in the last game of the season, where everyone kind of had that Belleville team written in as probably going 9-0, and with Bryce Underwood making that run to the championship. And that very last game of the year, they came in, and that offense was just too much for even a really good defense there
Yep.
in Belleville to handle.
Yeah, and I thought the Brighton offense had some bright spots too. They're really young as well. I believe their quarterback Dom DiAgusta, I believe he's a 2028, so he's only a sophomore. Um, Still a lot of growing to do. He looked like he had it mentally, but he's just got to grow into the position literally. Um, but he was making some good decisions. He was, making, the right reads and stuff like that. It's just hard to, quite get there when you're not there quite physically. But I think Brighton's going to be pretty good here over the next couple of years. But yeah, great win for Howell. This team is going to cross over and play against Belleville this week. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. And Brighton, they're going to play Fortson this upcoming week in their crossover game, and that's going to be just as interesting of a game.
Yeah, definitely a couple of fun crossover matchups there. My numbers, certainly a fan of Brighton thus far. Have them as a very balanced team. You and I have talked on this Brighton offense quite a bit, but good to see that their defense is getting a little bit of love. And I know that last week we had talked and said that Brighton and Howell were neck and neck in my ratings. And yeah, after this game, Howell just barely edging them out.
Yeah, I know they're still probably really close. I think this team, like I said, I think this game, if you simulated this one 100 times, I think it'd be pretty even. I think both of these teams have their strengths. Um, they got a couple of weaknesses. Both teams do. Um, but yeah, this one kind of deciding the KLAA, West Championship like this, um, felt like Howell, just the way I watched it, it felt like Howell just kind of, you know, was stayed in it for 4 quarters. Brighton kind of came and went offensively. Um, Howell just never let up. So um, with Northville's, kind of surprising loss to Novi that we'll get to here in a minute, kind of just handed the keys right over to Howell, and we didn't even have to worry about the three-way tie that I had brought up last week.
Yeah, and with that, let's jump right into it. Northville falling to Novi 19-16 in what was a pretty surprising game. I was not expecting this really. Novi 2-5 coming into this one versus a 6-1 Northville. But looking at this one, I have to think that maybe these expectations were just a bit too high for the Mustangs. If they came in and just felt like they were trying to play up to, prove themselves and maybe pressing a little, not unlike what we saw from Davison. Uh, there's got to be something more to a loss, especially a really solid Northville team dropping this against a Novi team that's shown a lot of struggles through the season.
Yeah, and it was right there for the taking, like we had mentioned. Northville um, could have kind of made things interesting with a win in this one, and Howell ended up winning that one. So yeah, this one ended up kind of being the difference maker and kind of just handing the keys over to Howell like that. Um, Novi, good win for them as well. Like you mentioned, they've had some struggles. This moves them up to number 36 in points, playoffs wise. Don't think it's enough to get in without a ton of help and crazy situations, but still, they played a factor in deciding their side of the KLAA, and can't take that away from them.
No, you cannot. Moving on to our next game, we have Ann Arbor Father Gabriel Richard 44 versus Macomb Lutheran North 19. And this win here for AAFGR gets them into the Prep Bowl.
Yeah, they'll take on Cabrini at Ford Field on Saturday, which we will be in attendance for. So,
Yeah,
yeah, just really impressive by them to dominate. I mean, this was a game of unbeaten's. Macomb Lutheran North was playing just as well. But FGR just came in and it looks like just kind of imposed their will, which they're known to do. So, yeah, great win for them. Gets them to Ford Field, and maybe they can win that one and kind of give themselves some nice juice heading into the postseason.
yeah. Moving on to our next one, my upset pick, which did not go as I foresaw. That was Grand Rapids Northview taking on number 27 Grand Rapids Catholic Central, and Northview falling in this one 7-35.
Yeah, no, this one was tough. I saw that Alex, my other writer at Prep Red Zone, I saw that he attended this one for a half. It looks like Odin Spencer, the quarterback, just kind of went off. Seems like he kind of took over and did what he's supposed to do. Huge growth by him because I remember Alex not being overly impressed with him last year in one of their first games. So clearly done a lot of growing since then. Good for him. Yeah, I think Northview's still solid. But yeah, this was definitely more just impressive by GRCC.
Yeah, great win by them. This Northview team, despite coming in here unranked, still very solid. And for this Catholic Central team, just putting in another really good win and looking at one game left in the season, and they should be feeling pretty good with where they're at right now.
Yeah, just another year that GRCC just runs the table on their, on their schedule and gets into the postseason starting off 9-0. So, yeah, not super surprising, looking like a legitimate threat in D5 again.
Moving on to our next game, that is Fowler versus Ithaca. Fowler taking this one 48-28. This
Yeah.
was a pretty surprising one just because looking back through Ithaca's history, we have to go back to 2022 to find their last regular season loss. And we have to go back another year to 2021 to find their last season with multiple regular season losses. This is still a very formidable team. We've seen their quarterback Rondi come back from injury, but pretty clear that might not quite be in peak form right now. But they have Merchant back to playing wide receiver, his more natural position. And on the opposite sideline, this Fowler team, they're playing up a division, winning by 3 scores, and this is all coming after a pummeling by Puamo Westphalia last week. Just a great rebound for them. And as we near the end of the season, we can look at their schedule and see they have 2 losses, and it's to 8-0 Hudson and 7-0 PW.
Yeah, I still think Fowler's really good, and I think they'll be a threat in D8. But yeah, impressive. And like you said, it's crazy to think that, coming into this season, they haven't lost a regular season game since 2022. You don't see it very often from Ithaca. I still think they're pretty solid. They've got a huge test this week playing against the defending state champion in D8 Beale City. I think that one's going to be a really interesting matchup, but I think both of these teams still have, wins in them in the postseason. But yeah, definitely a little bit of a surprise to me that Fowler went out and just kind of handled them like that.
Yeah, not super shocking to see them pull the upset, but I agree that pulling this off by 3 scores was pretty
Yeah.
shocking. Great win for them.
Yeah, yeah, big time.
Up next, we've got Goodrich 21 versus Fenton 20. Goodrich coming into this game ranked 19th, and this was a bit of a weird one. Weather delays pushed this game from Saturday evening into Sunday afternoon, but Goodrich came out with a 1 point win, and that 1 point differential there coming in the third quarter when they managed to block an extra point. Uh, they lock up the Flint Metro League with this one. And Fenton now 5-3 with a shot to rebound against North Branch next week.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Fenton. This is a Goodrich team that's been scoring in bunches. We saw them set records against, I
Yeah.
believe it was Clio earlier in the
Mhm.
season. Like they've ran the ball as well as anyone all season long. So for them to kind of contain that to 21 points is saying something. So great job by them to kind of play up. And you see this sometimes with these weird games that they kind of got started, played some of the first quarter. I think it was. I think there was like 7 minutes left in the first quarter when they resumed the following day. So um, probably a little bit of that, but no doubt about it, Fenton put up their most valiant effort. So I still think Goodrich is really really good. They're going to be solid in D4.
Mhm.
Probably got quite a few wins in them in the postseason. So good job by them to squeak one out. Making the play in the third quarter that ended up being the difference.
Yeah. Moving on to our next one, and that is number 34 Frankenmuth taking on Freeland. Frankenmuth pulling this one off 27-13 for their 7th straight win over Freeland. This game was your upset pick of last week, so we are 0-2 on week 8.
Yeah, yeah. No, this was a really close one. Actually, really, pretty late into this one. So, um, I'll take it. I put up a good fight, but no, I think Frankenmuth is still legit a Ford Field contender again this year in D5. They have now not lost a league game since 2014. That is
Wow.
insane. That's you don't see that too often. So Franklin's got the fourth most points right now in D5. I still think they're gonna end up you know being one of those teams that you're gonna see late in the playoffs.
All right, moving on now. We have Ida 28 versus Clinton 16.
Yeah, this is a good win by the Blue Streaks. This is, one of those games that I kind of had my eye on. In that area, you just never know. There's always a bunch of pretty good teams down there that you can't quite tell who's, going to be the legit one that ends up making a run. But I think Ida has that in them. I think they're really, really solid. They've shown that they can be kind of well-rounded. We saw them hold Hudson to only 8 earlier in the season. So I think this is a team that can get it done on both sides of the ball. Holding Clinton to only 16 is pretty impressive as well.
Yeah, this is a pretty solid Clinton offense, and slowing them down, keeping them to just 16 points, pretty good accomplishment on Ida's part, and
Yeah.
sets them up pretty well right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on now, we've got Monroe Jefferson 15 versus Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central 20, and this one a uh, first loss for Jefferson on their season. They went 1-8 last year, started this year 7-0, and fall to this Monroe St. Mary's team, who is coming in here following their prior season where they were a D7 runner-up.
Yeah, this is a really fun matchup actually. 20-15. I don't think you could have predicted Monroe Jefferson would take uh, SMCC down to the you know wire like they did. So really impressive, kind of showing by them all season. I'm curious to see what they can do in the playoffs because I think this is kind of a scary team. If they can hang around with some of the teams that they have, beat them all but one, I think this is a team that you can't sleep on in the postseason.
Yeah, they're both going to be real contenders this postseason. This a really good win for St. Mary's Catholic Central, but
Yeah.
Monroe Jefferson losing this one 15-20, which gotta say, I love seeing 15 weird football score. But falling
Yeah.
in this one 15-20 against a team of St. Mary's caliber, that's perfectly fine for Jefferson. And it is one of those games where you leave this saying, you know what the standard is, and you know what you have to play to in order to make your way to Ford Field this year.
Yeah, that's a good measuring stick. I mean, that's a team that, like you said, was in at Ford Field last year. Um, put up a really good fight, in the first half of that one. Have been really, really solid so far this season. So I think in the last episode, we kind of discussed just how rough it had been for Jefferson and how this was kind of a historic year. So can't let this one taint that. This is still a really good team that has a lot to be proud of.
Yeah, that'll do it for our recaps for today. Pretty short episode for you guys, but we're going to be following this one up with a deep dive later this week into Snooze to Use 8.5, I believe it is.
Yeah, week 8.5.
Week 8.5 projections, which gives us a pretty good look at what we can expect out of the playoff seeding with the games falling as we expect this weekend. Always going to be some shakeups, but it's a fun little tool. Definitely recommend you check it out. I believe that drops tomorrow, usually.
So
And we will get to take a look at that and see what we're expecting for the postseason.
yeah, we will tear it apart. I know Stu loves when people do that and read too much into it, like he loves to. Everybody does. So, yeah, join us and we will torture Snooze for about an hour, probably.
All right. Well, with that, we will talk to you again later this week.